Welcome. This is Jim, host of the Faith Influencer podcast, where we're going to dive into discussions on faith's role in everyday life, from navigating blended families to overcoming challenges. I'm a husband, a father, a Bible teacher, an advocate for applying faith to everyday life. So tune in as I share personal stories, valuable insights, and practical wisdom. Last week, I talked about something that evidently hit a nerve, because the response was amazing. Literally thousands and thousands of people listened, many responded, and it was left with a question unanswered. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to our podcast. It is the playbook for blended families, and we're going to pick up the subject we talked about last week, and we left it a little undone. I don't guess I knew that I left it undone, but from your responses, I did. And so because of that, people were saying, what do we do about what you brought up? Here's what I brought up. Blended families, the step parent often feels like a guest in their own house. They often feel like an outsider. They often feel like they're on an island. And many of you were raising your hand saying, yep, that's exactly how I feel. That's me. So we're going to talk about, what do you do about it? How do you overcome that? Before I get into giving you 4 things that will help you overcome that, let me lay a foundation and groundwork about what to do when you feel like that you are on an island in your own house, that you are a guest. So here we go. Let me begin by just saying, remember this, that because you feel like an outsider in your own house makes you feel like, are you doing something wrong? The answer is no, you're not doing anything wrong. Don't think that. Don't go there. Don't try to overcompensate for that. You're not doing anything wrong. I wanted to tell you right at the beginning, it is normal. It is a absolute normal, natural feeling in a blended family. And because it's normal, you need to hear that you just need to continue to do the main things that a step parent needs to do in a blended family. I'm going to give you those again today. So, a universal feeling. Think about this. The biological parent, they already have a long emotional history with their child. They already have their inside jokes. They already have their memories. They already have their traditions. You don't have any of that. So how can you not feel somewhat like an outsider? You're stepping into something that existed long before you arrived. So it's normal. Connection is going to happen, but connection is not automatic. Got it? I need you to write that down. I need you to remember that. It's normal. It's not automatic. It's going to take time. So that's the first thing I need you to grab. Here's the next thing I need you to grab. The biggest mistake that step parents make when they feel like an outsider in their own home is they overcompensate. They try to push things that you can't push. They begin to try to force belonging. They try to force authority. They try to force being a parent. You're not the parent. You're a step parent in title, I suppose, but you're not the parent yet. And so if you try to force that, you know what? Everybody feels it. Your spouse feels it. The kids feel it. They feel that you're trying to step into an area that's not there for you yet. So belonging can't be forced. Got that? That's the next thing. It has to grow. All right, let's keep going. Maybe this illustration will help describe our feelings. I've been there too, so I know exactly what I'm talking about here. Think about this. Now you have a blended family. Just by way of illustration, your first evening, everybody's there. You're going to eat dinner together, and everyone goes to the table. And what are you thinking? I know exactly what you're thinking. People who aren't from blended families, they're not going to be able to answer this. You're probably answering it right now. You know what you're thinking?
Where do I sit? Does everyone have their own chair? Does everyone sit in the same place every time? I'm not even sure how can I speak? Can I enter into the conversations? What's my role sitting here? You don't know where to sit. You don't know what to say, right? You know what I'm saying. I can almost, if I could see through the camera right into your eyes, I know some of you are raising your hands right now and saying, yep, yep, that's exactly right. Well, again, that's normal, but I want you to hear me say this. You ready? Hear me say this. You're not hated. That doesn't, you're not hated. You're just unplaced. You're not hated. You're just unplaced. And that feeling, not only is it normal, but it's real. So I'm validating that because it really is a real feeling. So, what actually helps? What can we do about this? How do we overcome this? I'm going to give you 4 things. 4 things. This is where I left you hanging. This is what you asked for. This is what many of you said, okay, finish. Here we go. So if you feel like an outsider in your blended family, here are the things that can help. Number 1, actually I've talked about this in previous podcasts, but it's relevant here. Number 1, build relationship before anything else, before authority, before parenting, before anything else. You have to build relationship. This is huge. Um, Step parents often feel pressure to step into parenting immediately. You feel like, okay, I'm the new other parent. I need to fulfill the role of parent. No, sorry, you can't step into the role of parent. You're not. You're a step parent, not the same as biological, and you feel that need. Okay, I've got to step in and find my place. It's not in parenting right now. It's in building relationship. That's the first thing. Here's the truth. It is connection that gives permission for influence. Follow that? It is connection that gives permission for influence. So you don't have the influence yet because you haven't built the connection. So don't force that. Number 1, build the connection. That's your role. Build the connection. Relationship before rules, somebody said. So that ought to be easy. You say, what should I do as a new step parent? You build connection with your stepchildren. That's it. Build connection. That's number 1. Okay. All right. You knew that one. Number 2, I want to say something to the biological parent. Now, as a step parent, you're often you feel like you're walking on eggshells. We talked about that last week. But you also feel like you're walking on eggshells with your new spouse because you're not sure what they're thinking about you. I want to say something to the biological parent in blended families. To the biological parent, it is absolutely your job to create the unity in this family. If you're the biological parent, can I say it any stronger? It is your job to create unity because you're the biological parent. These are your children. In a healthy blended family, the biological parent establishes the unity. So I'm going to say, for the most part, maybe not every time, but for the most part, if there's disunity in a blended family, then somewhere the biological parent needs to step it up. You got to step up your game, bio parent, because they're your children. Now, how do you do that? You say, okay, I want to do that. As a matter of fact, one of you who responded, I took note of what you said. One of you who responded last week, you said, that is my greatest fear. It was a lady. You said your greatest fear was that your husband, who is the step parent, would feel out of place. You, I hope you're listening again this week. You said that's my greatest fear. I don't want him to feel like that. Then it's your job to create the unity with your children and him. So don't leave your new spouse who's the step parent. Don't leave them out there alone. Don't leave them alone. So how do you do that? Well, your kids need to hear you say some things. And I love this part. Okay, bio parent, this is what you need to say to your children. You need to say things like this. Let me say something to a man. You need to say to your children, guys, in this house, we respect your stepmom. You just need to establish that right off the beginning. just lay it out. We respect your stepmom. Ma'am, wife of the bio children, I can't wait for you to go tell your children this. Go tell them this very thing. Say, he may not be your dad, but he's my husband, and we will honor him. We will honor him. Establish it. He is my husband. They need to hear you say that with conviction. He's your husband, and we're going to honor him. So don't leave the your partner out there on an island. That's the second thing. It's the bio parent's job to create the unity. And then this is fun. Here's the third thing. And it doesn't have to all be serious. So step parent, let me tell you the third thing that you can do so that you don't feel like a stranger. Remember what we're doing? We're building connection. So here's the third thing, and I want you to have fun with this. I'm going to give you an example in my own life. Belonging doesn't come in big moments. Belonging comes in repeated moments. So because I said repeated, I'm going to repeat it myself. Belonging doesn't come in big moments. You're not looking for the big, huge moments like, oh, I want to belong to this family. Let's go on this huge vacation. No, that's not what we're doing. Belonging doesn't come in the big moments. It comes in the repeated moments. In the repeated moments, I'm talking about the little things. It comes in those repeated moments. I want to give you an illustration. Well, and when I say repeated moments, I'm talking about things like a shared laugh, like a car ride conversation, like a simple tradition. But let me give you one that I did. So when my blended family was created, my children, I'm reminding you, were mostly grown and out of the house. My wife had younger children, and then we had one together. So at this point that I'm bringing you into this story, we have her two children and our child together. So I would drive them to school, the two boys, the two youngest ones. I would drive them to school. Her son is 4 years older than my son. They're riding in the car, and I would play music. But I started this tradition where I played this song, the same song. It was actually a song all the way back to when I was young that would not fit into their taste, I promise. They thought it was terribly corny, but it was catchy. Okay, so hang with me. Here's what happened. So every day driving them to school, I played this catchy song. Well, there's a couple of lines in that song, in the music, that you can't pass up without singing along. Once they kind of heard it several times, they would mouth the words. Then they would sing along with it. They hated the song, they said, but it was catchy. So as we're driving to school, when we would get to these lines in the song, I would say, all right, here we go. All of us together. Now you ready? And we would all sing those lines together. We did that every day. All right, fast forward. That was when they were young. Fast forward. My stepson is now in college, and my bio son is now in high school. And our son was home from college, and we're having a dinner here at the house. And I thought, you know what I'm going to do? For some reason, that song popped up in my head. And so I started playing that corny song when I would take them to school. And oh, they got a laugh out of it. It was nostalgia. It was like, I remember that. I remember we had to listen to that every day on the way to school. And then we all sang along with it again. That's what I'm talking about. Just create connection like that. And it's done in the small moments. It's done in the fun things, in a car ride, in listening to something every day like I did. Maybe it's every Monday we order pizza. Maybe that's it. Every Monday evening they have that to look forward to. We're all going to sit down and have pizza. So those little moments, if you could remember this, those little moments slowly build bridges. So just remember that. Slowly, but they build bridges. And then the last thing I would say on what to do if you feel like you're on an island by yourself, stop measuring the relationship too early. Stop measuring love too early, because here's what step parents do. Step parents begin to measure what the connection is. Well, that's going to take a long time. that you will ask questions like this: do they love me yet? Do they respect me yet? Do they accept me yet? Don't even ask those questions. You're way ahead of the game. The reality is that a healthy step family bonds takes years, not months, not weeks. It takes a long time, but when they develop, they're deep. The bonds will be very deep and very meaningful, but it takes a good while to do it. So don't measure the relationship now. Don't ask how they feel about you. Don't let your mind go to what are they thinking? None of that. Way too early. Just do those four things that we've talked about. Now, step parent, let me give you a passage of scripture to live by. Okay? It's Paul in Romans 12:18. And this is what he said. This is what I want you to cling to, okay? Paul said, if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. That's a great admonition from Paul. And I think it works so well for you as a step parent. Instead of trying to create all these things and that we've talked about, no. As much as it's up to you, live at peace with everyone. That's what you do. So there's humility there, there's grace there, and it's a decision that comes way before any feelings will follow it. So I hope that's an encouragement to you as a step parent. If you feel like an outsider, if you feel like you don't belong, I hope that these healthy steps will begin to build what you really, really want. And that bio parent listening to this will step in. You may feel like an outsider today, but with time, wisdom, and intention, all of that is going to grow into a deep relationship. And that's the phase that I've entered into now, so I can say that with experience. As always, I look forward to your responses. Thank you for joining us at Faith Influencer and our playbook for blended families, and I look forward to seeing you soon.